As probably one of the only reviewers who didn't sell out on the first Moondrop Space Travel, I can say with confidence that the Moondrop Space Travel 2 is a much better product while still being sold at the same price of $20 or 1,200 pesos, where you get better ANC, better transparency, and a better app integration. That said, I'm going to tell you all about what's better and what exactly didn't change about the Moondrop Space Travel 2, and watch till the end to know if this is something that I can actually wholeheartedly recommend off of the Moondrop TWS lineup. First, my preference in sound is a neutral bright tuning with a sub-bass boost and a slight mid-bass boost for extra warmth in terms of vocals. And the volume I use for these are at around 40 to 50% while indoors and 50 to 65% while outdoors, which is the first thing that's actually going to be better about the Moondrop Space Travel 2, in which case it's going to be the gain. I used to listen at around 70 to 80% with the older generation when outdoors, which is, well, it introduced some noticeable distortion, which is an issue addressed with the Moondrop Space Travel 2, where you now get the low, medium, and high gain options in the app similar to the one that you get with the more expensive Moondrop Golden Ages, something I also reviewed in the channel before. You also now get a better active noise cancellation due to the grill that's covering the microphone that no longer picks up as much wind noise unless you have maybe a fan directly pointed at your ears or if you ride a car with the windows down. In terms of transparency mode, I'd say that they are now usable, whereas before I want to close them so I don't actually have to hear the few seconds of everything just bursting my ears while in Manila traffic. That said though, I do have to say that the first generation Space Travel had a bar placed on the floor, so any slight improvements seem like a generational leap, and that essentially means that these being better now doesn't really mean that they will beat your $100 AirPods or my Soundpeats Air 4 Pro in terms of ANC, transparency, and microphone quality, but it no longer feels like a gimmick, similar to how wide-angle lenses are in more budget phones. Not only that, but you now have a more robust app integration where on top of changing gain settings, touch controls, and like seeing the old battery percentage of each earbud, you now also get the ability to remove like ANC or transparency mode when rotating in between them via pressing one side for 3 seconds, as well as you also now get a better parametric 5-band EQ, which can be configured to what frequency that you want them to be assigned from, like 20 to 20 kHz, as well as the ability to modify the Q value or bandwidth that each band controls for a more precise tuning or a more general change. But if playing with EQ is not really your thing, we also get DSP support to download different tuning options, set target EQ profiles, then apply auto EQ to fit whichever target you prefer, all while storing these within the TWSs themselves, which saves the hassle of having to manually change like the EQ and such every time that we change devices. Or if you're not really a fan of EQing, you get a bass plus and a bass minus option on top of the default reference sound, on which if you choose not to download the Moondrop Space Travel app and use this with the default profile you get out of the box, you get a generally safe sounding TWS, where I would say that the bass is lessened compared to the Moondrop Space Travel 1, but because of the higher gain that the Space Travel 2, I don't find this to be a major setback as it does compensate for the lack of bass presence. Now in terms of mids and treble, it's generally the same sound as the first version, where I don't really find the mids to be forward or recessed without like lacking too much warmth or timbre in either male or female vocals. Treble wise, it doesn't really have the higher perceived detail that I get in more like treble-centric IEMs, just like the Truth Here Hexa, but because of that, no matter the volume really, I do not find the Moondrop Space Travel 2 being peaky despite being a bit more, I guess, treble sensitive. Another thing that improved is going to be the battery life, where despite having 2 milliamps less capacity compared to the original generation of the Space Travel, I'm now getting 5 hours and 30 minutes of continuous use with ANC on, whereas the previous version was barely scratching like 4 hours, which is probably due to the Bluetooth 6 being a bit more power efficient compared to the Bluetooth 5.3 that they used to have. I do have to say that it's still not going to be the 7 hours that they actually advertise, so taper your expectations a bit here. Despite having said like the good things that changed, there's also a lot of things like that remained, and they are still going to be problems with the Moondrop Space Travel too. Okay, so for starters, the charging case is pretty much going to be the same as the older model, where this essentially means that there will still be times that when you remove them from the case, they simply will not have any battery life. Why? Because the damn magnets weren't changed. They're still bad, and they still do not hold the TWSs properly. Although this is brand new, which is probably why like the magnets are still holding him in despite like shaking them a lot, in which case the Moondrop Space Travel 1, as you can see there, will turn on immediately after you shake them. But like if you use them for commutes, just like essentially everybody who uses TWSs, it's still going to be the same 50-50 chance that they won't be charged when you want to go ahead and use them. As for the app, the Moondrop Link 2.0 still crashes easily on my Android device, which essentially means that hey, same headache in that regard. On top of all of that, the microphone module did not change, nor did any more mics get added on the actual earbuds themselves, making their microphone quality still as bad as ever. Here, have a listen.
Hello, testing. Hello, Space Travel. Hello, testing. Hello, Space Travel. Hello, testing. Mic test. Hello, Space Travel. Hello. Space Travel, mic test while en road. Space Travel 1, hello, mic test. 1, 2, 3. Hello. Space Travel 1, hello, mic test. 1, 2, 3. Hello.
Oh, and I'm not done. Though we now get the ability to upgrade, like say the firmware, which is good actually for the most part, the touch controls are still going to be terrible out of the box, where I can specifically hear delays on my taps on the TWS because of the tick sound registers like 2 whole seconds after touching them. And this didn't like happen in just, I don't know, once or twice. No. They happen a lot of times during the 2 weeks that I've been testing them, where I still experience not having my taps registered, and I'm still getting ghost taps where I wasn't clicking them, but they just randomly pause out of nowhere. I also haven't even talked about like the packaging, in which case, yes, you get a bigger box, but why? Why make the box bigger if all the contents are still going to be the same? Like same manual size, same warranty size, same papers, and same cheap accessories. Now, you might be wondering, Charles, it's just a box. Like, why do you have to get mad? Well, dear viewer, I get mad about it because shipping costs more if product sizes are bigger. Meaning, instead of trying to make the product, this one, better by spending less on shipping and having to redo the packaging design that, let's be honest, nobody will really care about after a day of opening, they chose to do the ooh, different box, wow, better product approach, which fools unknowing consumers into thinking that this is going to be a significantly better product, when in fact, they are not. And no, it's not going to be significantly better. It just got better because if you compare nothing to something, then of course it's going to be better. What's worse is that instead of focusing on the basic things that, mind you, are still not going to be polished, they chose to add another gimmick marked as a feature. This is going to be the multi-point connection, where it should seamlessly switch between devices, similar to how AirPods work. Keyword should. This is an additional cost that could have been placed towards like actually making the essentials better. But they don't function properly, so how much R&D did they actually like spend on that, right? That said, I place this at an improved C tier, where it's still not going to receive a full recommendation from me, but it pretty much makes the old like Space Travel and Golden Ages obsolete. Despite that, however, I urged you to save up a bit more for a better product, but if you still want to get them, links are going to be in the description. Keep in mind that they are going to be affiliate links, so I get a small commission with no added cost to you. The grading system I use will also be in the description below, and this has been, of course, the Moondrop Space Travel 2. My name is Charles, and bye.